everyone, and welcome to episode 18 of the Honeybird Studio Knitting Podcast. My name is Jenny, and you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Honeybird Studio. Today I've got quite a few finished objects and a handful of works in progress to share with you today, as well as a couple of future knits that I have on my radar that I would like to cast on sooner rather than later, but I have to wait for the yarn to come in. But anyways, yeah, so that's what I have to show, or that's what I have to show. That's what I'm going to be showing in this podcast episode. And I just wanted to quickly reference my previous video on my channel about, it was my finish or frog video, and that's where I went through all of my projects, every project that I had on my needles, everything from like my oldest unfinished objects to my current works in progress, like a lot of the ones that I ended up keeping, but I also ended up frogging a lot of them as well. I think it was basically half of them ended up getting frogged or put on hold, and the other half are on my list of projects to finish before the end of the year. But if you're interested in that video, I'll link it in one of the corners here. I don't know if it's this corner or that corner, but it's one of the corners. I think YouTube can allow me to put a link there. But anyways, yeah, so if you're interested in that video, I'll link it up there, and then also I'll link it down below if you want to check that out. But yeah, so let's get into all the knitting. The first thing I want to talk about is what I'm wearing. So it's my first finished object. It is not 100% finished because I haven't woven in all of the ends yet. I'm slowly chipping away at them, weaving in a couple of ends every day. There's over 100 ends that I have to weave in for this, but this is my patchwork cardigan. So this is it. And I haven't blocked it, and by blocking it, I would throw it in the washer and dryer to kind of help it lay flat, because it is 80% acrylic and 20% wool. I think it is a superwash, or sorry, I think it is machine washable. So got the patchwork on the back. But yes, I am hiding a secret in here. I've got a lot of ends to weave in. But yes, I've woven in, I think, about 40. I wove in 20 last night before I went to bed, and 20 this morning at breakfast. So this is made out of Lion Brand woolies, and I have, there's 4 different colors. So, oh shoot, I had written down the colors, or I kept the ball bands, but I left them at home. But yeah, so it's kind of like this medium brown, light pink, a white, and then like an oatmeal lighter brown. And I basically, if you saw in my last, I think in my last video and my last podcast, I had shown this in progress where I was knitting the strips, and they basically looked like little skinny strips because they were curling because of the stockinette stitch, or like because it was all in stockinette. But I seamed all of them together, so I seamed up all these long strips. I think it was like it was 4 long strips and then 1 half strip. The half strip makes up the middle back panel there. And then I added this shawl collar, and I don't know, I just kind of winged it. I kind of used the idea of the shawl collar, or like the idea of the shawl collar from the Gramps cardigan that I knit before, or that I showed the last video, and basically did a bunch of short rows to make this collar. And so, like, I wanted to make it long enough that it would fold over like this, and I'm thinking that I started my short rows a bit too early. I think I should have started it maybe closer to here. And then now that I finished this, I kind of wish I would have done buttons, because I think buttons would look cute, but I could always put snaps on instead, and then just sew a button over top so it looks like I sewed, or that I put buttons on it. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It was, there's no pattern for this. I just kind of winged it and hoped for the best, because I did knit, I think in my previous podcast, I showed off another patchwork cardigan that I knit in holding Craft Smart Value double, so it was like extra bulky. This I knit on 5mm needles. Yeah, it was 5mm needles for this, and yeah, the other cardigan that I made, the bulky one, I think I did on like 8mm needles or something. But yeah, so I used the concept from that cardigan and applied it to this one. And I just did, yeah, I did the long strips, and then I seamed them up, and I seamed up the, like, under the arm, so the side, to, I think I did like, what is that, like halfway, or just over halfway through that square. It looks about halfway. And then I picked up a bunch of stitches. I don't remember how much, but enough to make a pretty oversized sleeve. Like I didn't want it to be tight. I wanted it to kind of like go with the theme of the oversizedness of the cardigan for me. And when I was weaving in ends, I realized I made a mistake on my collar, or on the cuff here. And somehow I somehow knit half a row right there. Because I was magic looping the cuff. And I guess I don't know, my mind must have been somewhere else, and I knit the row instead of doing a ribbing. So I haven't woven in that yet, because I think I'm gonna go back and fix that, because it is gonna bother me knowing that it's there. But yeah, so I'm super pleased with this. Once all the ends are woven in, it'll be a big sigh of relief, because like I said, there's over 100 ends that I have to weave in on this thing, if not closer to like 200. There's a lot. Yeah, there's still so many in here. But yeah, so that's this, and I'm pretty much just going to be using it as like an around the house cardigan. It's a very relaxed, oversized fit on me. Yeah, just I really like it. It's super cute. But yeah, so that is my first finished object, and my second finished object is another cardigan. So this is my Woodstone cardigan. So this one doesn't have a pattern. I've actually have an idea for a different way that I could do this pattern that might be easier for me to wrap my mind around for like writing it as a pattern for others to knit kind of thing. Anyways, so this is my Woodstone cardigan. This is, I think, the third one. No, 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth one that I've knit. This one is knit out of Loops and Threads Baby Rainbow. And it's 100% polyester, if I remember correctly. And I don't think it's supposed to be machine washable. So, I didn't even bother, like, trying to block this. Like, I didn't soak it and block it or anything. I feel like it lays really nicely already, and it feels really nice. So again, this is like an around the house cardigan. I mean, I do wish I could like open this up and make it lay flat more, but I'll try it on, because I have one issue with that one that I didn't have, or I kind of still had an issue with this one, but I finished my Woodstone cardigan first before I finished my Patchwork cardigan, and I made some adjustments on my Patchwork cardigan that I wish I had known beforehand to do on my Woodstone my Woodstone cardigan. So I'll just take this off real quick and I'll show you what I mean. So I did the shawl collar, but for this I feel like there's a few things. So I didn't follow a pattern for this cardigan. I just cast on a number of stitches and started like increasing the raglan. And I think now that I've done the shawl collar, like I was hoping that it would be long enough to, you know, kind of fold out like that, but because I didn't do, I don't know, I guess I didn't start with enough stitches for the front, like for the front panels, that when I did the shawl collar, it basically just filled in that empty spot where I should have had more stitches for the raglan. But I really don't mind. I think it looks okay. And I made it not like super long, but long. I mean, you can't really see, but it's like, yeah, just at the bottom of my back, basically. But I love the lacing cable on the back. And then I did the same thing on the sleeves. So with this, I have a pattern that I've released, a free pattern called the Woodstone wrap. And that uses the same, like this exact same motif, or sorry, the one that's on the back with the cables and then the lace panel. That is what I use for the Woodstone wrap, and I have it both written and charted in that pattern. And so what you could, like, if you wanted to do something similar to this, what you could do is find a cardigan pattern that, like, either like a free one or one that you already have in your library that has a, like, I did all of mine like with raglan increases. So I started with a number of stitches and then split for the sleeves and the back. And then basically what I did was I just started the chart like at the top middle, and then as I expanded the rows, or as I was increasing the rows, I just added in the next like stitch pattern, or like the next set of stitches that was in the pattern. And then I did the same thing for the back. So I think I can show you on this what I mean. Yeah, so like the increases, I increase in pattern down the raglan increases. So you see, like, I had the twisted stitches here, and then as I increased, I just added in like the next part of the pattern as I went. Ooh, that looks very loose there. But yeah, and then I did the same for the sleeves. So I started the cable at the top, and then as I increased, I added the 1x1 twisted cables. So it doesn't really require math. I think what I did was I used a graph paper, and I had the number of stitches that I had across the back, and then I centered the chart on there. I think it has to be an even number. I'm pretty sure it's an even number, yeah. Yeah, and then I just centered the chart, and then like basically as I increased, I just kind of felt the stitches as I went, and like, oh, should I do the pattern on this row, or knit and purl one more row, or like knit one more row, purl one more row, and then add the pattern on the next row kind of thing. So yeah, so I am happy with how this turned out. I'm glad that I have it off my needles, because this was a project that I started like last year or something like that, and it feels like a long time ago. So it's nice to have it off my needles, because I have a lot more cardigans and sweaters on the needles that need attention. So don't mind me. I'm just gonna put this back on. It is actually pretty chilly. I've had the space heater going while I was doing my show notes earlier to warm up the room here, and it's still a little bit chilly. So okay, so my next finished object is again, has a million ends that need to be woven in, but this is called the Cozy Season Stocking, and this is by Ksenia Naidyon. But yes, this is it. Okay, so there's about a million ends to weave in because I cut my color work every time I was switching. I probably could have carried the color work for sure. I could have carried the yarn through the color work as the colors were changing, except for like maybe in like the long sections like this, but I don't know. I kept cutting the yarn because I felt like it was going to be too bulky. Well, it's going to be bulky anyways because I'm going to be weaving in all those ends. But yeah, this is a stocking, and this is for my newest nephew. So it's going to be his first Christmas this year, and I'm going to, so okay, it's technically not 100% done because A, I have to weave in the ends, and B, I have to embroider, or like what is it called, duplicate stitch his name on here. So I just figured I'd wait until I've finished weaving in the ends and stuff, and I've never duplicate stitched like a design or like a name or anything like that before. So, and the other thing, I didn't do the loop on the edge here because I think this stocking turned out bigger than it was supposed to. I didn't gauge swatch. I was like, well, it's a stocking. It doesn't really matter how big it is, just as long as it's big enough to stuff a lot of gifts into it. So I followed the original colorwork chart. Yeah, so I followed the original colorwork chart, but I didn't follow the colors that were in the pattern or like in the chart. I only had 3 colors, and in the pattern it has 4 colors. So I had to do a couple of adjustments. I did change a couple of like the little details like in these parts here. just so that the colors would, I don't know. Yeah, so like certain colors wouldn't overlap, so I had to do a little bit of adjustment, but I think it's super cute. My colorwork tension is not the greatest on larger projects like this, I guess. It is a little bit puckery. I mean, I went up a needle size from what was in the pattern already, and I didn't think that I would need to go up even more for the colorwork, so I think it's okay. Once it's stuffed full of presents, no one's really gonna care that it's a little bit puckered anyway, so I'm excited about that. Super cute. Oh, right, the yarn that I used was yarn that I bought a long time ago, intending to make stockings, and I think the yarn was Red Heart Super Saver. And no, sorry, the red and the green are Red Heart Super Saver, and then the white here, you can kind of see there's like a little bit of sparkle in there. I think this was a Bernat yarn. So yeah, these definitely feel like Red Heart Super Saver, the red and the green. And then the, yeah, I'm pretty sure the sparkle one was Bernat. But yeah. Oh, and then this was the first time I ever did this kind of heel. I think it's like a German short row heel or something. I don't remember exactly. Well, I didn't really read the pattern correctly, I don't think, because I messed it up the first time, and then the second time I think I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. And so I basically just did German short rows back and forth, so I guess it's a German short row heel. I don't know if I still don't know if I did it correctly, but it is what it is. It's a stocking. It's not like it's gonna go on someone's foot, so yeah, so that's the cozy season stocking. Oh, and the other thing, it's a free pattern. It's on there's a link on Ravelry to the website, and there's actually a couple other, like there's a handful of other charts that you can do instead of the one that I have there. So there's options to like mix and match charts as well, so you can mix and match your own stockings. So you can do like stockings for the whole family kind of thing. So the last finished objects I have, technically I have 4, but they're all the same pattern. And that is my Mindful Beanie, and that is by Noemi Zimmer. And so I've got, let me start with my original ones. So when I went to Knit City, I bought yarn specifically for this pattern, and this is by Midnight Cravings, and this is in their Hardy worsted base. So I've got, oh shoot, I forgot to write down the color names, but yeah, so I've got yeah, 2 colors here. I don't remember the colorway names, but anyways, so this, I haven't blocked these yet, and I haven't woven in the top pieces because I'm going to be adding pom-poms to this, or to all these hats. I have 1 pom-pom for this hat, and I have to order another pom-pom for the second one. So I made, with 2 balls of yarn, or like 1 of each color, I was able to get 2 hats, and I still have some left over that I might be able to do like a headband or something. So I've got these 2, and they're super cute. I think once I block them, they'll sit nicer on my head, but let me just put one on real quick. So super cute. But yeah, it kind of sticks up just a little bit at the top, and I'm not really a fan of that. I don't know, it's not really my style to like have that up there. But I know from experience in the past of like blocking hats, I know once I block this, it should like kind of lay down a little bit better. And then once I put the pom-pom on it as well, that'll kind of like give it some weight. So, oh, I forgot to bring the pom-pom, but I showed it on my last podcast with my acquisitions from Knit City. So I'm really pleased with how these turned out. And like the crown decreases is really nice as well. Oh, it looks so cool. It looks so good on camera too. So yeah, so that's those 2. And then I bought yarn to make another set. It was like kind of like a goldy mustard yellow, and then like a speckled, a light base yarn with like speckles of blues and yellows and reds and stuff. Not like punchy colors, more like muted colors, but I was intending to make 2 more with those, but I think I have plans for another hat for those. Okay, and then My third one is out of some stash yarn. So I was going through some of the, like, up at the top there I have, like, these are like my full skeins, and then up at the top I have all my partial skeins and leftovers. And I had some drops alpaca silk, and what is the name of their mohair? The brushed silk mohair, or the brushed alpaca silk. So I had like just enough of the dark brown and the light brown to knit this hat. And so I held the mohair silk with, or sorry, I held the alpaca silk with the strand of brushed alpaca, which is like their kind of like alpaca mohair kind of thing. And I didn't quite get gauge, but it's like slightly smaller than the other hats are, but that's okay because I don't intend on keeping this. I'm probably going to donate this hat. Well, I probably will donate this hat because, well, I'll see if anyone in my family wants it, but I think it's really cute. I really like the design. It's, I timed myself on how long it takes to knit one of these hats, and it was just over 3 hours, which was really motivating to me because I'm like, wow, I can knit a hat in 3 hours. That's pretty, I feel like that's pretty, like a colorwork hat in worsted weight yarn. I felt like that was pretty impressive. But that's not including weaving in the ends, even though like weaving in the ends only took like a couple minutes. I stopped the timer after I finished the knitting part of it. So then the last one is this one. So this one is made out of Camarose Snefnug, and I was in Vancouver a couple weeks ago, and I decided to finally stop in at Wet Coast Wools. I've always wanted to visit their store, but I live not very close by, but anytime I've been in Vancouver, I'm like, oh, you know, it's really not, it wouldn't be too far out of the way to go to Wet Coast Wools. So I went there and I looked at all their yarn, and it was a beautiful little shop, and I decided on this yarn. So it's kind of, I should have brought my ball bands, but I love the colors. It's right up my alley. It's totally my color palette. Like, it even matches the pink on here. It's like the super like fluffy, fuzzy yarn. Super cute. Like, look at that. I love that. Like the colors on that, or like the depth of color. So I'm really excited for this one. I want to find a pom-pom. I think I might even have a pom-pom at home for this, but I think this might be my new favorite hat. Super cute. But yeah, I think a pom-pom would be, I don't know, I'm a pom-pom person. Let me know below. Are you a person for, like, do you like pom-poms on your hats? Or do you prefer your hats without pom-poms? Or like your toques or beanies with or without pom-poms? I don't know what it is, but like every hat that I own, or every toque that I own that I wear, the ones that I wear the most are all ones with pom-poms on them. I don't know, it's just something about having the pom-pom to me feels like it brings everything together. Although I do have the Muscle Bra hat on my list of hats that I want to make, and I feel like that style of beanie, that style of toque would do well without a pom-pom. So, but like stuff like this, I feel like just the pom-pom just completes the look. But yeah, so I think, yeah, that's it for my finished objects. So now we'll go into works in progress. The first work in progress that I have to show is actually a half finished object, and this is my lace socks. So I showed this the last time. No pattern for this. I basically used the lace motif from the Woodstone wrap, and I did the 1x1 twisted stitches around the rest of it. But anyways, yeah, so I think I was like on the foot the last time I showed this. The yarn that I'm using is by Midnight Cravings, and it's in the Wine Knot colorway. And so I finished the first sock, and I actually finished this at a little coffee and knit thing with Linda from the For Fun of Knit podcast. So I saw on one of her podcast episodes a couple weeks ago, she said that if if you were in the area, in the South Surrey area, and would like to come and knit and chat with her and her friends, that she would be there at the cafe at 1 o'clock. And so I just happened to be in the area at that time, or around that time, so I went and visited her and her friends and had such a wonderful time. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun to meet other knitters and to be able to sit and chat and knit and like talk about our knitting and our plans and share ideas. I added quite a few patterns to my Ravelry favorites that we were all looking at, different patterns for like cardigans and sweaters and shawls and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun to meet Linda. She was so lovely. Hi, Linda. But yeah, so I worked on this while I was there, and I pretty much got, I think I got most of the foot done, and then I was like, oh, I need to try this on before I do the toe, just to make sure that my math is still right, because I'm pretty sure I knit 70 rows before I start the toe. So I stopped at the toe and then went home, or went to my sister's place because I was staying there for the weekend, tried it on, and then finished off the toe. Anyway, so I've just gotten past the cuff on the second sock. Hold on, let me readjust myself here. Okay. So I just cast on, or sorry, I cast on and I did the cuff. So I have, the way I did the cuff was so that the ribbing would match up with the lace work, basically, the lace and the cables. So on the back I have 2x2 ribbing, or no, it's 2x1 ribbing on the back. And then on the front I have sort of like a 1x1 and then 2x2 and then 1x1 again. That's just because I like when the cuff matches up to the, like, if there's cables or lace or any sort of design element in the sock itself, I like when the cuff matches, you know? So I did the extra work and figured that out. So like, I'll show you on here. So like on this sock, that middle one goes down there. I like looking at this now, I kind of wish that I actually would have like started this little design detail further up. I like started at the top of the sock. I think that would have been nice, but hindsight. But yeah, so it's just a standard, my standard sock, 64 stitches on a 2.25 millimeter needle, and I do a heel flap and gusset, and that's about it. So, apologies if you can hear the noise in the background. I think there's some construction going on in the kitchen. But yeah, I'll probably, oh no, I was gonna say I'll probably pause, but it seems to have stopped. So that's my first work in progress, and it's just living in one of my, a bag that I sewed myself. This was like one of the first bags I sewed. Yeah, because I think I think I used like interfacing for the loop, and now I use something else. Anyways. Okay, so the second work in progress is living in my coffee bag, and this is a Lyss toque, and this is one of my patterns. And I know, like, I've talked about this a number of times on the podcast, that I'm gonna rewrite, or not rewrite the pattern, but I'm gonna like update it and yeah, write it so it's a little bit more easier to follow, because I think the way that I wrote it is okay. I've had my test knitters were able to follow the pattern and it was fine, and several people have knit it, like bought the pattern and knit it, and it was fine. But I think now that I have a little bit more experience, I'm like, oh, I could actually write it differently. Yeah, so I've been taking notes and slowly updating the pattern, and I'm hoping to have it updated sooner rather than later, because I've been putting it off for so long. But in any case, the yarn that I'm using is Loops and Threads Joy DK. So this is a discontinued yarn from Michaels. I got it on sale. It's like this pretty nice, I don't know, like I feel like it's a really nice like mustard yellow, I feel like I don't own any accessories in this color, but I think it would be kind of cute. So yeah, so this is a discontinued yarn I got for like, I think it was $3 a ball. And I bought, I think 5 of them, and I knit a t-shirt over the summer, and I had like 2 balls left over. So I figured that's enough to make a hat. I think I might even have enough to make another hat. But anyways, so I did something different with this one. I actually did a folded brim. Like, normally what I do is I'll knit the 6 inches and then just like keep going after that. And then when I wear the hat, I fold up the brim. But this one, I actually did, like I sewed it down. So it's sewn down on the inside. And I think that, I don't know, like I think it gives it a nice polished look to it, I think. But yeah, so I probably have maybe a couple, like 2 or 3 more hours of work on this thing. Maybe. Yeah, because I think I've done 1 repeat. I'd have to do the second repeat and then half. I think it's like you do the repeat twice and then half, and then you do the decreases. Or maybe it's a decrease. I don't know. It's been a while since I've looked at the end, like the last part of my pattern. But anyways, so it's just got these, like a simple braided cable, and then it's gonna have like this winding cable that like this, yeah, it kind of like winds around kind of thing. So I'm working on this, and I'm actually hoping, because of the way I'm updating the pattern, I am technically like changing the way it's written. And so I'm probably gonna need, or I will need to test knit it again to make sure that, like, I'll need to get it test knit and tech edited again just to make sure that my updated stuff is correct and there's no mistakes and it's easy to follow, etc., etc. So I will probably do a test call for this hopefully over the next month or 2. I feel like I keep telling myself like, oh, don't say it on the podcast because then you'll be obligated to do it. But I feel like if I don't say it, then I won't do it. So I'm putting it out there in the hopes that it will incentivize me to finally get this done. So anyways, so that's that. But yeah, I will have to knit it again because the yarn that I want to do the rewrite or like the re-release in is a different yarn. So I will have to knit it, do my gauge swatch and knit it again just to make sure that everything works out with that yarn. But yeah, so that's that. The next work in progress is living in this bag. So this is from Ginger Snap, and I got this at Knit City last year, and it's one of the bag styles that I've seen and have coveted for a long time, and I finally bit the bullet and bought it at Knit City. I figure, you know, if I buy it at Knit City, then I save on the shipping cost. So anyway, so it's this, it opens up like, it's got like this boxed wire in it. And then there's a pocket in here. So anyways, this is the Sporty Knit Skort, and this is by, let me check. This is by Florence Miller, and I was stalking this pattern on Instagram for a while. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, because I was looking for skirt patterns for a long time, but I didn't see anything that I really liked. And let's see. Oh, I get all my stuff tangled in here. Here we go. So this is what I've got so far. So it's got okay, so I kind of messed up. I did not get gauge. And when I was doing my gauge, I did the math incorrectly. I was supposed to go down a size, but instead I accidentally went, like, I went up a size when I should have gone down a size. And so it is kind of wobbly in here where the waistband is. But I figure once I'm wearing it, it's going to stretch out anyway, and it's not going to be very noticeable. So the elastic that's in here is the correct size for my waist. So I think it'll be fine. This is kind of like a test anyway, because the yarn that I'm using is some vintage Regia yarn. So this is the label. Let's see. I don't think it'll focus. I gotta figure out the focus on my phone here. But anyway, so this is the yarn that I'm using. It's a Regia 3-ply maybe. It's 75% new wool, 25% polyamide, and it is superwash, machine washable, and guaranteed non-felting. So technically I should be able to put this in the wash, but yeah, so I think, oh no, you can't really tell, maybe, oh yeah, you can tell on this side that I don't think I did my increases quite nice, like quite correctly there, but I'm not too fussed about it. But it is going to be a lot of knitting. So basically I think I have enough yarn to finish the skirt portion of it, but there's also like shorts that I'm assuming you pick up stitches and you knit the skort part of it. I haven't read that far into the pattern yet, so I don't know, but it's supposed to be like the skirt and then the shorts inside. So it's a skort, which is, I think, really cute. Definitely check out the pattern on Ravelry or even on Instagram. The pictures from the test knitters are so cute, and oh my gosh, I really want to make it in pink. Like, I really want to have a pink skirt. I think that would be super duper cute. But yeah, so this is like, I'm just testing the waters with this right now, just to kind of like, I think I've mentioned before, I like to knit a pattern first in like yarn that I have laying around, just to kind of get a feel for the pattern, and then I'll knit it a second time in really nice yarn. I don't do that all the time, but I would say that, yeah, a handful of times I'll pick a yarn that I have in my stash and be like, okay, well, I'll knit it in this first just to understand the concept of the pattern and like the, I don't know, the details and stuff. Like, if there's anything that I'm not totally familiar with, I don't want to use like my good yarn on something that I'm learning for the first time. So I tend to, yeah, use yarn that I have, and then, yeah, anyways. So it's got these pleats in it, as you can see, and as I continue knitting, like, it's gonna be quite a bit longer. As I continue knitting, the pleats will get like longer, or like wider, I guess. So it looks like a pleated skirt. It's super adorable. Oops. But yeah, so, and this was like the first time I added elastic to knitting. I've done, I started the ripple butt shorts by Jessie May Designs, and I did do the fold over thing with where you sew in the tie, I guess. But yeah, so I had some experience knitting, like doing the fold over with knitting something in between, but I definitely had to play around with how I was picking up my stitches because it was really fiddly. But I managed to figure out a way to do it that was less fiddly. So yeah, so that's my Sporty Knit Skort. I'm excited about that one. I think it'll be really cute over some leggings or like tights. There goes the bus. Anyways, that's that. I think I've got 3 more works in progress. The next one is living in this shopping bag. So this is the Una sweater, and this is by Irene Lin. I've already knit this once for myself. This time I'm knitting it for my sister, and she requested long sleeves, so I am currently on Sleeve Island for what feels like forever. Okay, so this is it. So basically I knit the body until I ran out of the yarn that I was using, and then I put it on stitch holders, or like on a cord, and then I picked up for the first sleeve and started knitting it. I believe I'm going to have enough yarn to finish the full sweater, like the full length of the sweater with long sleeves, but I just wanted to make sure that, like, knit the first sleeve to make sure that I'll have enough yarn. And then I think after this sleeve, I'll go back and finish the body, and then I'll knit the second sleeve, because I think what I want to do is finish the first sleeve, finish the body, and then have my sister try it on to make sure that she likes the sleeve length. And if she doesn't, I can adjust the second one and then just go back and fix the first one. So the sleeve is quite wide. I did try this on myself last night, and I think I've got 2 more inches of the sleeve to go before I do the rapid decreases and do the cuff. Oh yeah, the yarn that I'm using is is Loops and Threads Wool Like. It's the yarn that I've used for my ripple bralettes, and I think like 1 or 2 other things that I've knit, like garments that I've knit in the past. But I really like holding a double. It makes a really nice DK weight yarn, I feel like. I don't know, there's something about it. It's just nice. It's got, I think it's 25% nylon and 75% acrylic, and it's not squeaky like 100% acrylic is, and the nylon actually makes it pretty soft. So I'm really excited about this. I might end up changing the neckline. Depends on, once I block this, how the neckline sits, but like right now it's not, it looks okay. Like as long as I pull it down, it looks okay. But like when you're moving around, it starts to ride up a little bit, so I'm gonna figure something out for that. But yeah, so that's the Una sweater. Really excited about this. I'm really excited because my sister really seemed to like the one that I knit for myself, or like she tried it on and she really liked it. So I'm like, okay, I'll knit one for her. And I think I've been timing myself on my knitting projects recently, and so far I've put in 33 hours into this sweater, which is pretty intense. I was like, oh my god. When I told my sister how long I had worked on her sweater for, she was like, my goodness. It's like, yeah, knitting takes a long time. Like some of the bigger projects definitely take a long time. Like garments, especially this one, doing long sleeves is taking up a lot more time. Anyways, so the next work in progress is a shawl, and this is the boho style mosaic shawl, and this one is by Irene Lin as well. So my kind of on an Irene Lin kick. So this is what I've got so far. Oh, let's see, where am I? Okay. All right. Okay, it's gonna be a little bit hard to show, but maybe I'll show like half of it. So it's a top-down triangle shawl, and this is what I've got so far. And this is the mosaic motif that I'm working on right now. Oh, I think it looks so good. Oops. And then the other side. So, oh gosh. I'm pretty sure this is the longest cord that I own. It's kind of hard to show. But yeah, the yarn that I'm using is by Ancient Arts Yarn, and it is their Lascaux DK. And I talked about this on my last podcast, where it's the I think 25% of the makeup of the yarn is Manx Loughton, and it's a really cool looking sheep in any case. So it's in the main color, it's got all these like ridges. So in the pattern, okay, let me start again. The pattern itself is written for a worsted weight yarn. Oh my gosh, the sun is like, it is coming out. It was pouring rain this morning, and now the sun's coming out. Hopefully it's not going to blow everything out. Anyway, so the pattern itself is written for worsted weight yarn, and it's on a 5mm needle, I think. And I'm doing it in DK weight, so I was like, it's already a really big shawl, so I figure, okay, if I do it in DK weight and I go down a needle size, it'll be just, it'll be a little bit smaller. So I did my gauge swatch, or I measured my gauge and did the math, and I found out that when I was knitting it on 3.75mm needles, and I was like, oh yeah, no, it's gonna be way too small. And I wasn't really liking the fabric that I was getting, and so I went up to a 4.5mm needle, and I definitely like this fabric more than what I had on the 3.75. The 3.75 was too tight, but on the 4.5 it's really nice. I think that makes a really nice like bouncy fabric. And the yarn itself is just beautiful to knit with. Absolutely love it, and I would absolutely buy more of this yarn to knit with. They've got a lot of colors as well. Like at their Knit City booth, they had quite a large booth, and just all the colors. It was so hard to pick the color combination that I wanted for this shawl, but the yarn dyer herself came over and helped me pick out all of the colors. So yeah. So anyway, so I'm doing it on a 4.5mm needle, DK weight yarn, and in her pattern, or in the pattern for the shawl, there's an option to add an extra like certain amount of rows in order to add more length. So I thought, well, I'll definitely have enough yarn to add that extra length. So I went ahead and did that. So I added an extra, I think it was like 3 repeats of this part here, and that added in an extra like I want to say like 10 inches or something like that to the overall length of the shawl. So let me just fold this in half and show you how big it is so far. So basically it's going to be like twice this span right now. And then I don't remember, I think I have about 40 more rows to go before I bind off. So I think that's like probably like another 20 inches, or no, maybe 10 or so inches. I guess it was just over 10 inches, so like 12 more inches or so. So it's still gonna be a pretty big shawl, and I'm really excited to finish off the mosaic part of this. I'm at the point now where each row is taking me about 15 minutes, and I'm pretty sure by the time I, get towards the end, the last rows are going to be like 20 to 25 minutes. The yarn that I've got here is, so this is the red. I think this was called French Bordeaux. And then I think this was Irish linen. This one was denim. And this one was fortuitous. So it's interesting because like in the light, it's kind of like got a red undertone. It definitely looks like it's got a bit of a red undertone. But it's interesting, when it's up against the blue, it almost looks like it's got a blue undertone. Almost. I don't know. It's weird. It's like it's a morphing yarn. Chameleon yarn, I should say. All right. So that's living in a fabric bag. Okay. And the last work in progress that I have is living in one of my favorite bags that I've made for myself. It's my little bird bag. And this is my Lana vest, and this is also by Irene Lin. And I've made adjustments to this as well. Well, not adjustments to the pattern, but adjustments to the yarn and needles that I'm using. So in the pattern, I believe it's an Aran weight. Yeah, it's an Aran worsted or Aran weight. And I wanted to use DK weight yarn because I have this, it's like a chain ply yarn. I got this from Knit City last year. It was on clearance at one of the booths. And it is, I tried to look this up online, but I couldn't seem to find it, but it is Grosso Fancy Chain. And then at the top it says like Mitchell or Michelle or something. But like when I looked it up, I couldn't find anything about this yarn. But it is a blend of FS alpaca and polyamide. I don't know what the FS stands for. But I think it's 93% alpaca and 7% polyamide. And it's like this super bouncy chain ply yarn. Let's see if I can pull this back out. So it's, I mean, you can see there, it's like, I'm pretty sure it's called chain ply. I might be wrong, but that's what it looks like. And then it's like super squishy and super bouncy. And when it's knit up, it's so nice. Like, I love the weight that this has. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so I should continue what I was saying. So the pattern itself is knit in Aran weight, or I think it's Aran weight yarn, on a bigger needle. And I wanted to knit it on DK weight on smaller needles and with less positive ease, because I think it's like up to 10 inches of positive ease on the vest. And I wanted something that was more close fitting. And so knitting the size 2, which if I had the right gauge and yarn and stuff, would give me about 10 inches of positive ease. But when I tried this on the other night, it's definitely more like 1 inch of positive ease, maybe. It's definitely not negative ease, but it fits just right. I'm so happy with it. So this is it so far. So that's the front. And there's the back. It's an all over cable and texture pattern. so nice. Oh my gosh. I've been working on this like a crazy woman. Like all day, every day, for the last handful of days. But yeah, I almost ripped it out. When I finished the back panel, I thought, oh no, this is looking too small. And I thought, you know, well, the worst case scenario is, like, I'll do the front, like, I don't know. My measurements, I did the math, I did my gauge, and I figured out how many, like, I feel like I did the math right on this one. And so I was like, I'm just going to trust myself that I did it right. So I continued to do the front panels. And then when I separated for, or not separated, when I joined in the round, I knit a couple of inches. And then I was like, okay, I got to try this on to make sure that it's going to fit. And when I tried it on, I was like, oh my gosh, perfect. It's great. It looks great. I'm so excited for this pattern. I'm so excited for this vest. I don't own a vest. I don't even remember the last time I owned a vest. But when I tried it on with one of my shirts, I was like, oh my god, it's so cute. So I'm really excited to have this as part of my wardrobe this winter. So I've been working away at this. I think I've got 5 or 6 more inches before I do the hem. I think in the pattern it has a split hem, but I don't think I'm going to do that because it's not going to be oversized. I think I'm going to do, well, I might do a split hem. I don't know. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do a regular hem first, like just like a 2x2, or maybe even, I don't know, whatever the rest of the thing. I think it's probably going to be a 2x1 rib. And then if I don't like that, I can always pick that out and do the split hem. Not a problem. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. But yeah, oh, the fabric is so like stretchy, but it snaps right back into it. Like it just snaps right back, which is so cool. Oh my gosh. But there's definitely some weight to this yarn. Definitely feels, I don't know, like this, it just feels like it's pretty weighty. But yeah, so I'm really excited about this. It's been my #1 project right now, like the one that I've spent the most time on. But I'm excited, and I kind of want to knit. I'm probably going to knit another vest after this one, and I'll probably knit the Lana vest again, but I might do the like I might do like the proper oversized positive ease, I mean. So anyway, so that's all for my works in progress. And now I am going to talk about my future knits. So I have definitive plans for 2 things and tentative plans for a 3rd. So let's talk about future knits. In the last episode, I showed a sweater that I knit for my sister-in-law, and it was that oversized, bulky, like periwinkle colored cable sweater, and she really, really likes it. And so the way that came to fruition was she sent me a picture of a lady wearing an oversized cable sweater and said, can you knit something like this? And I said, well, I probably can. So I did. Not exactly like the one that she showed me in the picture, but close, like, you know, similar, what I could find on Ravelry. And so she really, really liked it. And so she sent me 2 more pictures recently, one of a mohair sweater and one of a chunky stockinette stitch cardigan. And so I searched on Ravelry for similar items and I found these patterns. So the first future knit is going to be sweater #1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And that pattern I think is perfect for what my sister-in-law was looking for. It's like oversized, or it's like positive ease, big sleeves, and it's mohair. Or like I can knit it out of mohair. Like, I mean, you could substitute anything really, but I think in the original pattern it is knit out of mohair. So I'll be knitting that out of like I think it's a pink mohair. So I had her look at, like, I gave her options for yarns and like kind of gave her price points of like, well, if you want to go fancy, you can go with this yarn, but it'll be this expensive. But if you want to go a little bit more cost effective, you can try, like, we looked at Knit Picks, I think, and Hobby yarn. And I think we ended up going with Hobby yarn. So this will be the first time I'm ever using Hobby yarn. I've seen a lot of people like a lot of podcasters talking about hobby yarn, like through sponsorships and stuff. So I'm really interested to see how, I mean, I've heard that the Diablo mohair is not the most pleasant to work with, but that's what my sister-in-law picked, and she's the one paying for the yarn. So I'm like, well, if you pay for the yarn, I'll knit with it. I mean, if I have to grind my teeth to get through it, then I will, kind of thing. But I'm sure I'll enjoy knitting the pattern. Like, I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, so I'm waiting for that to come in the mail. And then on that, we also bought yarn from Hobby for the campus cardigan, and that is by Alexandra Tavel, who is also known as Two of Wands on Ravelry. And so, I was looking up chunky cardigans, and this was the one that I think my sister-in-law and I both agreed was like the closest one to what she sent me, like closest to the picture that she sent me. So we're still debating if we're going to do if I'm going to do the pockets or not. So I'm going to knit the whole cardigan, and then she can try it on and decide if she wants the pockets, and then I'll just add them on later. I can't remember the name of the yarn that I ordered. I think it was called Amigo Chunky or something like that. So again, like a more cost-effective option for a garment. I think altogether, I think the yarn was on sale as well, which was nice. So I think altogether, I think the shipping was free because I was over $100. I think it was like 100 after taxes and after exchange rate and stuff. I think it ended up being $140. In any case, I'm gonna knit those two garments for my sister-in-law, and then the third project that I want to knit is, I was on the search for fingerless gloves. I was really looking for convertible gloves, so I wanted the ability to either make it fingerless or make it a full mitten or make a convertible glove, and I finally found a pattern on Ravelry that pretty much does all three, and that pattern is called Cable Dad Mittens, and that is by Alexis Winslow. Sorry, I just have to look at my notes because I knew I was going to forget. But yeah, so these fingerless mitts, it's a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, but it comes with 3 different styles. So you can do the full mitten, the convertible mitten, or the fingerless mittens, and that is perfect because I think I'll be able to knit. And the nice thing too is that once I have this pattern, I'll be able to like alter it as well. So like I can add cables in, like I can exchange some of the textured stitches for cables or like whatnot. Like as long as I've got the numbers, I can pretty well substitute any stitches for whatever I want, kind of thing. So I'm really looking forward to getting this pattern and casting on some mittens because it is getting cold here, and I know apparently the snow is coming soon. I mean, I live on the west coast. I live in the Fraser Valley, and so we don't get as much snow as like the rest of Canada, but when we do get snow, I'm used to like a mild climate, but when it gets cold, it gets really cold. But yeah, so I definitely need something for my hands. And I think the convertible mittens would be the best option, like the best of both worlds kind of thing, because then I can, if I need to use my phone or whatever, I can flip the top of the mitten off kind of thing, Anyways, so those are the 3 projects that I'm hoping to cast on between now and the next episode. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think that's all. Yeah, that's all I have for the knitting. And I don't have any acquisitions or anything. So, yeah, I think that's it. It's been about an hour of recording, so I was going to talk more about like life stuff and stuff, but I think I'll leave that for another time. But yeah, I have some ideas for some more videos, or like for a couple more videos between now and the end of the year, so fingers crossed I get around to doing those and getting them edited and up on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone again. I know I got a handful of new subscribers recently, so hello. I was like, at the end of the episode, I'm saying hi. But anyways, yeah, thank you so much for liking and subscribing and leaving comments on my videos. I really appreciate it. It's always so much fun to see, like, to read through the comments and reply to them, and even like having some back and forth with, like back and forth conversation with people. It's so nice. But yeah, so yeah, it's super exciting. It's so exciting to like have this community of people that come and watch me and comment, and yeah, it's just still, I don't know, I still feel so like, wow, like, I don't know, I don't think that feeling will ever go away. It's always so exciting, you know? But yes, enough rambling from me. Yeah, so until next time, happy knitting. Bye!